So yeah, with National Signing Day coming up, who are the critical leans at this point, leaning in your direction or slightly in the other direction that you really, really want, that are reasonable gets?
I mean, it starts at the top. Justin Flo, number one linebacker in America. Miami's been recruiting him. They're going to recruit him all the way until he announces. That's just how it's going to go. I know that Miami's probably fighting an uphill battle behind Clemson and maybe other people, but we'll see. Darnell Washington, the number one tight end in America. Same kind of a thing, maybe a puncher's chance with each of them individually. Justin Flo's visiting USC this week. Washington's visiting Tennessee this week. We'll see where they go each. The Keyshawn Green from Escambia, who was committed to Florida State previously, that's a big-time target. No, he's not necessarily Justin Flo, but he's a rangy 6'3", 200-pound linebacker who can get from sideline to sideline with the quickness. So, yeah, he's another guy who's up there. He decommitted from Florida State last week when he was on his official visit to Miami, but I believe he's going to visit Florida State this upcoming weekend, or should be there right now since official visits go from Thursday night to Sunday morning this weekend, or Saturday night, excuse me. Who else? Maybe that. I don't know, man. Are there any other really uncommitted guys? Jalen Harrell, the defensive lineman from Tampa, Miami canceled his visit, and then he committed to Michigan. And I believe that was probably because he was leaning that way anyway. 247 Canes, it's not my job to convince you that Justin Flo is coming here. It's just not. There are things to like. There are reasons that he could, but there's plenty of reasons that he might not. Obviously there's going to be playing time. Miami is a city that he enjoys and feels a connection to. There's a family atmosphere at this program. There's academics that he can get behind. Great weather, just like Southern California, but more in the city than other schools. If you can get over the location, then, Clemson has an amazing culture. They are one of the top, if not the top program in America. Southern California is the local team. They are a prestigious program with a long history. And again, even if like Miami, they're not necessarily winning a lot, they are still relevant. I don't necessarily see him going to USC, but that is a local team, and stranger things have happened. Just look back to 2012 with Tracy Howard picking Miami over Florida, which I predicted, but, many did not, and, for whatever reasons. But, there are stranger things that could happen. Same thing with Darnell Washington. You could talk about wanting to go to an offense where the tight ends get the ball all the time, but, there are other factors at play. He has a young child and a fiance, and can his family transition to that new location and live there in a way that he sees fit as an 18-year-old already, with a child and a fiance on deck. Maybe he wants to stay closer to home, wherever that may be. So there are positives and negatives to each and every recruitment. So it's not my job to sell you on that, but yeah, that Romello Height, Auburn was making a late run at him to get him to take an official visit there this weekend. And Miami did an in-home visit, and Romello Height decided that he was not going to go to Auburn. For that visit, he's locked it down. He's going to come to Miami. He's signing on Wednesday. And I tweeted about that, and somebody said, is that a good thing? Yes. And, you want to talk about not having Miami caliber talent, because you want Miami to be as talented on the roster as possible. And no, Miami's not won a lot recently, and I get it, and it hurts me, and it sucks for me as well. But you don't want to go back and watch those teams that are bereft of this kind of talent. And losing a Romello Height, especially like we're talking about, if you're already reaching at corner and offensive line, positions where you should not be reaching ever, let alone at this point of the program, that should give you pause. So there's probably not anybody else at defensive line, and especially you let Jalen Harrell, the one from Tampa, go to Michigan because you say, look, numbers are tight and we have who we need at defensive end. But if you let a Romello Height, if that were to pass, if that would have happened, that he would have gone elsewhere, Now you're starting to reach, and now you're taking the top end talent off the roster. And we already know that Trayvon Hill was a 1 year stopgap. He's gone. Jonathan Garvin foregoing his last year of eligibility. Gregory Rousseau, G15, might only be here for 1 more year. If he plays like this again next year as a redshirt sophomore, he's going to the NFL as well. That means you need guys to replace him. So you want as much talent as you can get. And I get that everybody's frustrated with losing. I get it. But let us not sit here and think that not getting the players that Miami needs, the caliber of athlete that Miami needs in this recruiting class, if we don't get that, you don't want that. Because we can go back and I can name names on non-Miami caliber dudes who played heavy snaps for this team in years past, and you don't want that. That's why recruiting matters so much. That's why when you force Robert Knowles into duty early as a sophomore and a junior, before he was ready, you saw the results. Now as a 5th-year senior, he's done well. Sure, he gave up that touchdown at Duke after he stopped the touchdown the play before on a really great play, really, really great play. But he's not out there costing the team points. But it took years for him of development to get there. But if you have now players that are not even as talented as he, think where they would be still after years of development. Not as good as he is. And it took him a while, but he was a he was a piece of Play-Doh. You know, he needed to be molded into a player, and it took time, but he had athletic ability. You want guys at Miami who have athletic talent. You want that. And I know that you want to say otherwise just because you're hurt about the goings on this season. Don't let the current state of affairs blind you from how recruiting and roster building really works, because those are going to be the people who are crying the loudest when you're watching guys like an AJ Highsmith or like a Nantambo Akil Fentress who shouldn't be out there, but they're playing 400 snaps on defense because we don't have anybody else on the roster to take those snaps.